Unsafe deposit boxes. How safe are they?
Safe deposit boxes. A lot of people entrust a lot of their important documents and valuables in safe deposit boxes because the assumption is that they're safe. However, I think there's a lot of reasons to worry about storing your valuables in a safe deposit box, and let's discuss this now. In 2008, the state of Pennsylvania decided they wanted to take a survey as to how many safe deposit boxes included things like cash and coins in them. Of course, you can always ask the question, what business is it that of the state of Pennsylvania?
Right.
Well, I don't know. No one seems to ask those questions. They went ahead and opened up 672 boxes to do their little survey, and they found that about 172 of those boxes contain cash and coins. So, I mean, obviously that's something to just to think about and worry about. But obviously, there's a lot of people who are putting cash and coins in these safe deposit boxes, with the idea being that this is a bank, they've got a state-of-the-art system, and that it's much safer than just about anywhere else. Well, let's discuss that, for a minute. Ever since 9/11, we've, in the Patriot Act, a lot of laws have been passed giving the federal government, and to a lesser extent, the state governments, a lot of unparalleled power to look over our shoulders to quote unquote protect us from terrorism. And it's affected a lot of our lives on a daily basis, whether we realize it or not.
Yeah.
Safe deposit boxes are one particularly good reason. Homeland Security nowadays has the ability that if they believe that there is suspicious activity uh, around you in your safe deposit box, as reported to them by, say, your bank, they have the right to go in there and open it up and to put an injunction on it, so that you can, I guess, eventually prove that you're not doing anything suspicious, and so that you now once again can have access to your safe deposit box. The IRS is another particularly abusive government agency, which seems to think that it has every business looking into every nook and cranny in our personal lives. They also have the ability to crack open your box if they believe that there's valuables there that are not being properly or did not pay proper taxes. They have wide abilities to go ahead and do that. Thirdly, if you declare Chapter 7, which is bankruptcy, there is a right of the government to go in there and to confiscate those assets, or rather your creditors, rather, to get in there and confiscate those assets as just part of their what they got coming to them based on your Chapter 7 declaration.
Wow.
There's also state governments that, and this is a big thing nowadays, that can declare that, your bank essentially declares that your safety deposit box or your safe deposit box is abandoned. Once they declare that it's abandoned, and there's a lot of different regulations and rules in each state. Some are extremely generous. California, until they just changed recently, their law allowed them to crack open the box if somebody just hadn't been there in, say, a year. There was a particular case of an old woman who hadn't visited the box in about a year, and she, I guess her husband died. She was going to go there to grab some documents that she needed, and she found that it had been opened by the state, the contents seized and sold at auction. All of her documents were burned and shredded, and she had no legal recourse at that point in time because it was all in the state law. California has a big budget deficit, and they were using this law to grab a lot of these assets. The law was also very vague. The bank was supposed to, quote, make every necessary move to try to find the owner of this box, but there was no real detailed evidence as to exactly what they had to do. In this particular case, this woman actually had an account at the bank. She only lived a few blocks away from the bank, as a matter of fact. But still, they couldn't find her because they declared it abandoned. And then the robber state of California went ahead and sold it and took her money to help pay their deficit.
Oh my gosh.
Lastly, you've got always the possibility of bank holidays. When Roosevelt was president during the early days of the Depression, he declared bank holidays, which closed the banks down and essentially prohibited people from accessing things like their safe deposit boxes. So, let's say we're in a major, some sort of an economic crisis of some sort. Their bank's closed and you don't have access to your valuables. So that's a problem right there. What are some of the things that you can do? If you're going to have a safe deposit box, the first thing you want to do is check your homeowner's insurance policy, because guess what? The bank is not insuring anything in that deposit box. You're paying X number of dollars to them a year and they're saying you can use this box, but for the most part, they're not insuring it. Anything happens to that thing, if a flood covers the bank, if it's robbed, if a hurricane comes along and blows the whole thing away, like happened down in New Orleans, you're mostly out, because the FDIC and the Canadian version of that, the CDIC, only insure funds that are actually in a bank account, not your safe deposit boxes. So basically, it's your homeowner's policy that's going to cover you. And the problem with that is if you check your homeowner's policy, it doesn't cover very expensive items like gold or silver coins or other sort of heirloom treasures. You have to take out a separate rider usually to cover that. And I checked, basically my insurance company, it costs the same to have it in my home as it does in a bank. In other words, they don't give you even a break for your valuables being in this safe deposit box. You should also definitely check, get photos of all of your contents that are in that box. Make sure it's also double and triple wrapped in plastic to help protect it from, say a very large hurricane or something like that might distribute contents or attack those contents and scatter them all over the place. You might have a better chance of protecting them or eventually recovering them. And lastly, I wouldn't store very, very valuable original documents in your safe deposit box, because the bottom line is it's not really all that safe. Maybe copies would be a better idea. If you want to find out more about this situation, you can read the article here and click on the link beneath here. And that's it. Thanks a lot.
Bye.